Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in to Love and Wisdom with me, Wiza. For those of you who are new, this is the channel where we explore how to navigate the challenges in love, life, relationships, and dating, and we'll be drawing inspiration from books, movies, and other art forms to support us in that journey. So let's get started. Today, we're talking about how not to care too much about what other people think of you. So I think that this dilemma or this kind of situation where we put an overemphasis on what other people are thinking of us or saying about us or feeling about us can apply to many different situations. So in the context of love and relationships, it could involve, for example, maybe us putting ourselves out there in some way, being vulnerable enough to share or express our feelings to the person that we love or like, and then feeling rejected when we get a cold shoulder or our love is not reciprocated. It could happen in the context of work. Maybe we've done some kind of presentation, and then after the presentation, we're beating ourselves up for how it may have gone. Like we're wondering how we came across to the audience, what other people think, like wondering if we've made a fool of ourselves. It could happen maybe in the context of sharing a piece of artwork or a piece of writing with your friends, or even submitting it to some publication or sharing it with family and getting like a cold shoulder or getting criticism, or maybe not even getting anything at all. Like maybe we were expecting that people would say that it was good and we didn't get that back, and now we're feeling like, oh my god, what if what I wrote or what I created was stupid or lame, and who do I think I am to even think that it's worthy of any kind of attention? So it could even be something that later seems really trivial. Like maybe there was a phone exchange or a text exchange where the words just didn't come out right, like where we didn't come across in the way that we wanted to, or the conversation didn't go as planned, or maybe there was some awkwardness, and now we're, after the fact, we're wondering, oh my god, like why did I say that, or why did I do that, and beating ourselves up in that way. So there's a whole host of different situations and contexts where this desire to want to please or caring too much about what other people think of us can apply. So a couple of things. First of all, I think pretty much most human beings have had experiences in their lives or moments in their lives where there's almost this debilitating obsession with what someone else or a group of people may have thought about you, what they're saying about you, and just simply caring about what other people think. So let's go a little bit deeper and try to understand why we care so much. And I think ultimately what it stems from is the need for approval, or the need for validation from other people. So I think ultimately that's the crux of it. And it also stems from like a people-pleasing mentality, a desire to want to fit in, a desire to want to please everyone, to make everyone happy, a desire to accommodate. So it's good to acknowledge that. Now, what can we do to try to overcome this? So a couple of things. First, we have to try to not take things personally. And the reason I say this is because at the end of the day, we don't really know why the other person reacted in the way that they did. It could even be something as simple as maybe they had a bad day, and their reaction to you, the reaction that you're not happy with, is a result of something that has absolutely nothing to do with what you've created, what you've said, what you've done, or you as a person. So really bear that in mind. Secondly, I think another thing to recognize is that real power is when we are so confident and comfortable with ourselves and our own worth, and we love ourselves so much to the point where we really do not seek validation or need the validation of anyone else but ourselves. And I think that is like an ultimate testimony to our individual power. So third, I think another thing that's really important to recognize is that when we're growing, when we're taking risks, when we're creating, when we have the courage to put ourselves out there, to be vulnerable, to take risks, naturally there will be people who we will rub the wrong way. There will be haters. There will be people who will not be happy with what you're doing. So take that as a sign of your growth and your rise. Don't take it in a bad way. So that's another thing that I think is really important to recognize. If you're doing something that is authentic to you, that is coming from a real place, a place of growth, a place of taking risks and being vulnerable, you will naturally not be able to make everyone happy. So keep that in mind, that it's a sign of your uniqueness and it's a sign of your growth. So I'm going to actually read you another quote from one of my favorite authors, Anais Nin. So I have the book behind me, and let me get it. And I think it really relates to this situation. Okay, so here goes. So she says, I disregard the proportions, the measures, the tempo of the ordinary world. I refuse to live in the ordinary world as ordinary women, to enter ordinary relationships. I want ecstasy. I am neurotic, in the sense that I live in my world. I will not adjust myself to the world. I am adjusted to myself. So let me read those last two lines again, because I think they're incredibly powerful. I will not adjust myself to the world. I am adjusted to myself. So I think those are some really powerful lines from Anais Nin, and it's all about being comfortable enough in ourselves to not really be so obsessed or overvalue what other people have to say or think about you. Another thing I'd like to add is that we want to get to a place where we do not overvalue disproportionately praise or criticism, because ultimately they're two sides of the same coin, and they both stem from the need for approval or the need for validation from others. What we want is to get to a place where we are so comfortable and so knowing of our own worth and our own value, and we love ourselves so much to the point where we don't even need to seek that validation or seek that approval. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't take in constructive feedback and try to apply it or anything like that, but it does mean that we're not so affected that we can't move on, or that we don't continue to take steps in the direction of our dreams. So I'll leave you with that today. I hope that you benefited from this in some way. If you would like to stay updated, please feel free to hit subscribe. And I'd also really love to hear from you. And if you've experienced a situation where you have really cared too much about what someone else or a group of people may have said about you, and what steps you took to try to overcome this kind of situation. So I'd really love to hear from you in the comments section. And if you also have ideas for topics that you would like discussed, please feel free to share that as well, or message me, and I'd love to cover that. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.